Have you ever noticed how Call of Duty players never seem to be as happy as Fortnite players? Well, today we're gonna go over 5 reasons that might just shock you. Let's get into it. Movement. Movement plays a key role in the flow and gameplay of Fortnite and COD, as they both are shooter games at their core. Fortnite started out with basic movement upon release. There was walking and running, more so a jog, honestly, a leisurely jog. There was also, obviously, a jumping mechanic alongside a crouching mechanic. These were the only 4 movements in Fortnite for multiple seasons. It worked quite well. Everything was perfect. Fast forward into 2022 with the release of Chapter 3 Season 2. Mantling and a full-on tactical sprint are finally added to the game. Mantling works as you'd expect. See a ledge, pull yourself up and climb over. Want to be cool? Jump up and then mantle to get even higher. The tactical sprint worked amazingly as well. Each player has a stamina bar that refills automatically but allows players to get a quick burst of speed. This is how most games do mantling and tactical sprinting. So Fortnite didn't invent this movement, but rather found a way to incorporate it into their own game. Players loved it. There was a slight learning curve, but for the most part, Fortnite is now hard to imagine without these new movements. Then, on December 2nd of 2023, Chapter 5 Season 1 released and changed movement for the worse. Epic Games decided to alter the animations, claiming they'd be smoother and were a much needed improvement, when in reality, they were rough. The biggest change was the flow from walking to running to sprinting. While the animations between each stage looked really flowy, it made for a movement speed that felt much more slower and borderline eliminated the point of tactical sprint. Walking felt like players were stuck in glue, and jogging and sprinting felt the same. Pretty much, the community hated this decision. But Epic Games did something that not a lot of devs do. They asked for feedback and took it. And you guessed it, 2 weeks later, Epic puts out an update reverting the movement. So as of now, players are once again satisfied with all the movement, and all it took was Epic Games listening to the community. Now, movement in Call of Duty has kind of been the same as well. When it first started, it didn't have sprint. And believe it or not, COD 3 was the first Call of Duty where sprint was brought in. So early CODs had walking, crouching, sprinting, and even mantling. There was also dolphin diving, which eventually switched into sliding. Players could also crawl when going prone. Then the jetpack era hit, and exosuits added a whole new kind of movement that was groundbreaking. It was shortly reverted back after 3 installments, which movement in COD stayed the same until around 2019 with the Modern Warfare reboot. Tactical sprint was added, and mantling was overhauled. Slide canceling became the new meta, and it felt like a refreshing breath of air for longtime COD fans. Whether an intentional feature or not, fans loved it. So in COD Modern Warfare 2, they did the most logical move. They took it out. Yeah, fans were outraged. The devs at Infinity Ward, however, had other plans and ignored the community for the entirety of the MW2 lifespan, causing player counts to go way down. Multiple months of community feedback seem to have been thrown in the trash. Unlike with Fortnite, it took them 2 weeks. Now, we're finally getting somewhere as Sledgehammer Games steps in to market MW3. Activision decides to advertise the old movement as a selling point for the new game. So rather than fix it in the current game, they decided to advertise it for the next. You can see the disconnect here. A studio that listens in 2 weeks, or a studio that doesn't listen at all. It shouldn't take a whole entire year for community feedback to be acted upon. Create a class. Whoa, T-Dog. Fortnite doesn't have a create a class system. It's probably what you're saying right now. You'd actually be wrong to make that claim, kind of. At the start of this game's life, it had a loot pool rather than a create a class system. This was due to its nature of being, obviously, a battle royale game. The loot had its own ranks, starting at common, then uncommon, then rare, then epic, to the best of the best, legendary. Epic Games would just add in guns and their different tiers with different stats as seasons went on. That is, until Chapter 5, Season 1, when Epic Games finally implemented the long-awaited attachment system that had been leaked and discussed extensively for about a year or two. It's very basic, and it kind of reminds me of what COD used to be. Guns can have multiple attachment options from different sights to grips to muzzles. There's 2 to 3 options with just about every single one. Now, they alter how you use the gun in battle and pretty clearly explain how the attachment changes the play style. Players can either just hope that they get a good attachment when picking up guns, or they can find a workbench and use gold to make their own custom class. It's clear Epic Games took the time to make the system interesting and unique for Fortnite. Call of Duty has gone through many variations of Create a Class, with its most recent being the worst rendition of the franchise. It started out with a basic pick your soldier type of feel. Then, in COD 4, a system that allowed players to pick attachments, perks, and grenades was implemented before eventually evolving into the Pick 10 system fans know and love. Pick 10 is the idea that a player has 10 slots in a given class. They choose how they get filled up. Players could have 2 guns, each with 4 attachments, but then they can't get perks or lethals or tactical grenades. This incentivizes the player to consciously make a class with limited resources and that best fits how they want to play. Let's not even address World War II's Create a Class system. It was bad. Go check out my thoughts on the divisions in my World War II video. In 2019, all previous systems were ditched for Gunsmith, which wasn't bad for the Modern Warfare reboot, but lacked any flair. As the games continued, the system got more and more convoluted. Now, in Modern Warfare 3, we have 100 attachment options for the scope alone. Don't even get me started on how convoluted the MW2 system was. You'd spend 20 minutes making one class, and the way you unlocked attachments and guns was insane. It felt like a scavenger hunt just to find the attachment you need. Weapon tuning was just ridiculous, and thank goodness they removed it in MW3. Yet Activision and the devs continue to ignore the community on what we want for a Create a Class, which is just for the Pick 10 to come back. I mean, come on, Activision. It's not that hard. I'm gonna quote my grandpa on this one. Keep it simple, stupid. We just need to apply that to everything in gaming nowadays. Maps. Fortnite has always been known for the Chapter 1 map. It had iconic landmarks, great terrain, and solid amounts of space to run around while remaining simple. It never tried to do anything fancy, even when the locations would change throughout the seasons. Epic Games adds a volcano? Sure. Fans loved it. It felt like a normal addition. Then, Epic Games implemented chapters as a way to easily start fresh with a new map rather than keep the same one players knew like the back of their hands. Each chapter map has been received fine enough, but sometimes they feel too complex and too big and don't always capture the magic of the OG map. So what did Epic Games recently do to help remedy that and bring old players back? They made a season all about OG Fortnite, where they not only brought back weaponry from the early seasons, but also the map. That's right, the entire OG map was back. Even though that season has ended, Epic Games has decided that at some point in 2024, they will make the OG map a permanent mode alongside whatever map is active. How's that for listening to the community? For the longest time, Call of Duty was also known for making insanely cool maps. Nuketown, Raid, Splash, Dome, Terminal, and Hijack, just to name a few. Whether it was the base game or DLC, COD devs always put their all into the maps, of which most were 3-lane design. That all changed when Warzone released in 2020. Modern Warfare 19 already had some iffy maps in it due to the abandonment of 3-lane design and the addition of doors. But once Warzone released, things changed forever. Verdansk was massive and arguably one of the best maps in Battle Royale history. It was even followed up with Rebirth, which was a map based on the Zombies map and real-world location Alcatraz. Both of these maps were insanely cool, but resulted in two problems. Modern Warfare 19's multiplayer no longer got original maps, but rather segments ripped from Verdansk. This trend would continue in the following games. Modern Warfare 2 barely had original maps at launch. Every single multiplayer map was based around El Mazrah. Now let's go back to Verdansk. The devs couldn't make as many changes to Verdansk POIs due to the massive scale and graphical power of their engine. It would take months to make changes, while Fortnite can make changes within a few weeks thanks to its small scale. As future updates to Warzone happened, Verdansk was eventually replaced by Caldera. Then Warzone 2 released. Verdansk and Caldera were permanently eliminated alongside Rebirth and Fortune's Keep. You guessed it, this resulted in a big player loss as Warzone 2 map was mediocre at best. To make matters worse, Warzone 1 was taken offline and deleted, the first time Call of Duty has ever done this. Warzone 2 is then renamed to just Warzone, and you better believe the community didn't like this. We're going on now, it feels like 2 years of continuing to ask for Verdansk and continuing to ask for Rebirth to come back. And they finally listened to us. But honestly, I don't think it's because the community asked for it. I think it's their desire to be relevant again and having to compete with Fortnite. Game modes. Fortnite has really stepped up its game in the party game modes department and is putting a lot of pressure on every studio out there. Obviously, the main mode of Fortnite's BR has building, but now there's a permanent mode specifically for those who don't want to build, and building is just banned. They also have a mode called Creative. This is where they give tools to players to make their own party modes, from horror maps to a working Hunger Games. On top of that, Epic Games have released their very own version of Guitar Hero and a base builder survivor game mode called Lego Fortnite. This allows players to build and survive within a Lego universe. Wait, if creative is a thing in Fortnite, does that mean... Yep, COD has lost so many players due to their poor decision making that gamers have resorted to making their own COD games. Now, this is something that bothered me as a multiplayer fan. I, for one, am a big fan of party games, gun games, sticks and stones, all that. I also enjoy playing on those classic maps that we talked about, Nuketown being one of my favorite maps. Something that COD Mobile does so well is the ability to put everything that's good about COD in one game. Call of Duty needs to stop removing stuff and then re-adding it in to play later on. Gunfight, amazing. Wasn't it the launch of MW2? Gun game, again, launched with Modern Warfare 3, taken out of the game for no apparent reason. The funniest part of all this, you can actually go on Fortnite right now, boot into one of their mini games, and play gun game on Nuketown in Fortnite. In no world should I be able to play Nuketown gun game on Fortnite and not be able to play it on Call of Duty. Back in the good days of COD, you could play any party mode at any time. If you were in the mood for it, it was there. Now you have to schedule your time around the party modes, and sometimes party modes aren't even in the game. So it's the same boring core game modes we've all played to death. Give us every mode at launch. Cosmetics. Oh, cosmetics. The best and the worst thing to happen to gaming. Fortnite cosmetics are insane. There's skins, pickaxes, weapon skins, emotes with licensed music, loading screens, soundtracks, and so much more. What is this, an ad? Fortnite collabs with every movie, show, game, book, just about anything ever. It's a meme by now that you could say, it's the guy from Fortnite, and suddenly, years down the road, it becomes true. I mean, who would have thought Peter Griffin would be in Fortnite? Epic Games is not afraid to make crazy cosmetics and they have a pretty affordable price. The average skin and pickaxe combo can run you just about $10. Skins also work really well because the game is played from the third person. Add in a really solid battle pass that every company tries to copy and never does so successfully, and honestly, Epic Games continues to prove it kills the competition in the cosmetic side of things. Aiding this is the cartoon-like art style that allows the game to be silly rather than grounded in realism. Now, COD saw this success, so as they usually do, they attempted to make it work on their own games. COD also has an item shop and a battle pass, but they feel pointless, and they just copy what Fortnite has already done. Also, this screen is one of the most confusing things in the entire world. I still don't know how to unlock everything. Now, Call of Duty is a first-person shooter, and I think this is why they've been adding a couple things that weren't in Call of Duty before. They've added executions, also the winning circle. All of these are to show you the skin that you're using, because otherwise, you wouldn't see it. They also have some calling cards that fill up the shop packs that, honestly, I don't think I've ever equipped before in my entire life. COD also does collabs, Nicki Minaj, and Attack on Titans. To be honest with you, I think that these are cool, but sometimes they don't really fit the vibe of the game. Call of Duty has a more realistic take on its art style, so sometimes when you get these skins, for example the rat, they can feel like a cheap cosplay, almost like the guy's wearing it on his head. Mix that with the fact that the skins cost on average about $20, it really is tough to justify that price. I will say, however, gun skins seem to be the best way to go for COD. Take a look at the Doom guns. The chainsaw and the shotgun look like they did from the OG game, and they even run at a lower FPS. That is super cool. I think COD should embrace gun skins rather than the player skins, and they should also feel free to be creative and loose with their artistic direction. COD Mobile, again, has done well in prioritizing gun skins, so I think we could see the main games do the same. Gone are the days of the World War II era. Just go crazy with your designs. On the flip side, I'm gonna give Activision credit. They finally listened to the community and removed loot boxes from their games, which was arguably more predatory than anything they've ever done cosmetically recently. I would truly be down to see a new weapon blueprint come in the store every single day. Conclusion. After going over all the similarities and differences between Fortnite and COD, I hope it is now easier to see why Fortnite continues to dominate the arcade shooter market. Not only does Epic Games implement systems into their games better than COD does, but they also listen to their community more. If Fortnite fans verbalize something they want in their game, Epic Games seems to rush to make amends rather than ignoring the fans and using their wants as a selling point for a future game. Now, that being said, Modern Warfare 3 seems to be a turning point. Sledgehammer Games has done a great job of addressing the wants of the COD fans with MW3. With Treyarch on the horizon and them being known for also listening to the community, but if not, we may be doomed to repeat the same cycle of mistakes that COD always seems to fall into. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.